Well done. So I've placed a little blanket up the top end. So you're welcome to do that, of course. Just add a little bit of padding under the back of the head. And I encourage you to take as many props as you need this evening because we are looking at surrender. I'm just going to check everything else is off. Some days that's easier to do than others. There we go. So come to rest. And good job. I'm going to add a bit of power in. If only it was that simple with our own power and energy. We just plug in to the source. But you could say, in a way, this is what we do in our yoga practice. We just unplug from everything else that's going on in the whole of our lives and just rest. Come back to the simplicity of the breath and the body. So we're going to practice that now. So come to lie down if you haven't already. If you've taken that support onto the back of the head, just gently move the head side to side just to check that the neck is free. There's nothing digging in. You want a little bit of space around the nape of the neck, around the back of the neck. And of course you're welcome to use your elbows to find a little bit of purchase. Okay, so you can find a bit of space around the chest, and we can use the elbows to simply just rock across the pelvis a number of times, really feeling out the corners of the back. So you may want to think about the shoulder blades and then the back of each hip. Okay, so just feel into that as you land. And this is often a good way to start to pick up the breath. Land in the center when you're ready. You can do a little tuck under the pelvis, just lengthening that last tip of the spine towards the tailbone, and then just relax. Now you've got a choice here. You can place the hands on the belly, which can feel very soothing, or you may prefer to have the arms a little higher and rest the elbows out wide, hands on the chest. So do what feels right for you in this first instance. We'll probably explore both throughout our practice, but essentially this gives us, when we have the choice, there's a little bit of our own intuition, a little bit of wisdom that comes in, you know, listening to the body, listening and responding. This is the aim really of tuning into the present moment. We could take any instruction, any posture, any moment to just drop directly into that space. And of course, when we drop into that space, we cannot be doing all the other things at the same time. So we can just let that go. And bit by bit, you know, we can choose where our attention and our energy is going to rest. So if we make a resolve, as it were, to really stay with the breath, this keeps us present. Stay with the sensations as they arise in the body. And it gives us some freedom, some spontaneity to respond. So we may start with the hands on the belly and actually find there's this little breath that wants to be released as we lift the arms a little higher and soften into the shoulder blades. And if at any time you feel the urge to bring that little movement again into the hips and pelvis, maybe just releasing the hands and rocking across the back of the pelvis and the hips, allow that to spontaneously arise as well, because essentially we'll all be feeling our patterns differently because we've acquired them differently and we nurture them differently. So just allowing this to be so, and this is part of our practice of surrender, is to just witness everything as it is, and just to be with the experience of acceptance in this example, and then surrender. It's easier said than done, of course. This takes practice. We can just see the flip side of that is we get to hold on to it. We get to keep it. Is it worth keeping? So breathing nice and deep. Really following the exhalation if you can. And there may be nothing to put down, nothing to give up. And that's great. But there may be a little holding around the breath. And often is the case we're so familiar with the holding, it feels like that's the natural state. We get glimpses of this alternative state of complete surrender, of peace, of softness, of spaciousness. These are the qualities that we've all known in our practice at different times and in our lives as well. It's not just when we're practicing, it's the knock-on effect that our practice has in our lives. Well done. So we're going to give the knees a little hug in a moment. So, just releasing the hands, bringing them down towards the floor, walking the hands a little closer down towards the hips and the pelvis. Just feel into the softening of the shoulders. Perhaps this is the first time those tops of the shoulders have really started to release. So we want to tune into these little steps along the way. We can walk the feet in towards us, gently lift one leg and then the other. And this is a bit easier on the tummy muscles, okay? So we can then bring the hands towards the knees, gently rock across the back of the pelvis. So again, depending how much energy we have, there may be an urge to move, lots of energy that wants to be expelled and utilized, and that's great. So take the little rock from forward and back to side. You can roll right the way over and land the legs if you wish, okay, and hover or stay there, rest the legs. Again, this is about intuition, your own innate wisdom. Just staying with any sensation. Okay, so we may hover in the center and think, oh, it's such a rich experience. We can really be completely absorbed in that desireless state of not wanting anything extra. Well done. Other side, if you did land to one side, keep it nice and even across the body. Well done. So when you're ready, rolling back to the center, let's just release the arms. Let the hands and wrists really relax. Okay, so the palms can be facing up, chin towards the chest. If you've wiggled off your blanket, as I have, you may want to just replant your head, back of the head. Chest is open and relaxed. Feet are still raised. You can flex the toes a number of times here into the feet and ankles, bring a little movement. Knees can stay bent for now. So we just really isolate that movement to the ankle joints. And then slowly take the circles in the other direction. A few clicks and pops through the toes. Barely been released from their socks in this, this cold winter that we're having. Now when you finish a couple more rounds and you feel like ankles are suitably warmed up, we're going to draw the legs towards each other and just extend up the leg that's closest to me. And you may want to just look upon that foot, just keeps everything nice and central. Deep breaths. Let the weight of that leg just drop. So if you find this really tiring with the other leg raised, you're welcome to plant that foot and just isolate this raised leg, okay? Otherwise, keeping that weight sort of dropping down into the pelvis, really surrendering the whole weight of the pelvis, upper body is resting, and then the lower limbs, the weight of that is just coming down and resting into the pelvis. Good job, nice deep breath. And don't worry about the position of that leg, you may have a bend on that knee. Whatever you need in order to really tune in. So you may start to feel into the top of the thigh or deep into that hip. Couple more breaths. Wonderful. Bend that knee. Let's land the feet, let the back of the pelvis just settle. It can feel quite strong. And again, you may want to gently tilt the pelvis Just release that tension through the middle back if it's building up. Let the pelvis land. Keep a sense of spaciousness around the back of the pelvis, around the sacrum. Okay, so don't have everything as tight in as possible. See if you can find a little bit of space around the hips. And then peeling up the legs, nice deep breath in. And then exhale, other leg all the way up. So again, a little bend through that leg. This will be the first big sort of hamstring stretch of the evening. So again, if there's any little movement there through the ankle that helps release that connective tissue, take the movement. And then we'll just pause there. Again, allowing the weight of those legs just to drop into the pelvis. So it's a mixture of being quite active through the muscles and breathing, but quite passive in the sense that we're not bicycling the legs or holding them in a certain shape of an asana, for example. We're just stretching through, listening to the body, warming up, tuning in, just noticing. It doesn't mean it isn't strong, of course. Well done. Bend that leg. Let's take a deep breath here. Good job. Let the feet land. Let's take the feet wide onto the mat. Let the knees rest against each other like a little teepee. Hands on the belly. Take some deep breaths, chin to chest. And just notice there's a release through the abdominal muscles, the connective tissue towards the thighs and the pelvis. So we're getting into the psoas muscles. We're going to extend the legs now, okay, so release any tightness there. So nice and slowly extend both the legs, check you've got enough space. And then we'll take the arms gently up and over the head. Now it's the first big stretch of lifting those arms up and over. So you're welcome just to start with a little bend of the elbows and then holding onto the elbows as you land the arms. Now, everybody's holding tension in different ways. It may not be possible, in which case you take the arms wide, still above the head or at least shoulder width and shoulder height, I should say. So the palms are facing up if they are apart. Chin to chest, nice and long through the tummy muscles. Let the legs just flop out. You can even give the feet a little wave. Yeah, this just starts to soften up through the connective tissue around the feet and ankles, tops of the feet, shins. Good job. Release the elbows. And we're going to turn this into a little bit more of a dynamic stretch, okay? So I'm just going to shuffle down. I haven't quite got the space I would like here. So I'm just moving down. Do the same if you need to. We're going to be extending this time, drawing legs together. And then a nice long stretch. So check that you've got space to extend the arms up and over the head. They can stay around shoulder width apart. Chin to chest, point the toes away. So have this big deep breath in, stretching through the whole body, and exhale, release and soften. Soften into the elbows, let the legs go nice and floppy. We're going to do 2 more of those, okay? So see how you feel in between, yeah, in the in-between stages when you soften. So we'll take a deep breath in. Stretching both directions. Exhale, release and soften. So let everything go on that breath. Belly soft, legs soft, eyes soft. And last time together, deep breath in. Pointing the toes away, pointing the fingers, and release. Good job, well done. Let everything soften, hands, wrists, finger joints, into those thumb joints. Well done. Let's peel up those legs. Take a hold of the mat. Take your hands just down by your side. And then we're going to hold onto the mat as we lift up the pelvis, chin to chest. And we're going to lower down. We're going to do this a number of times, again, just to warm up through the pelvis. Take your time. Staying with the breath, nice long inhalation and exhalation. And with every little movement of the body, see if you can really tune into that space between each vertebrae as you roll down through the spine. Keeping the chin nicely tucked in towards the chest. If your blanket is a little too thick or there's any disturbance with the back of the neck, just remove that and go straight head to mat. You can pause with an elevation. And each time, taking a little bit more pressure through the feet, okay? So each time there's a little bit more space, a little bit more elevation through the hips and pelvis, little support under with the glutes, stretching the arms away, holding the mat, and then releasing. Now if the hands are tiring holding the mat, keep them just flat and rested, okay? Just gives us slightly different dynamics. So when we hold the mat, there's more of a rotation outwards. Yeah, see if you can feel that for yourself. So that rotation is coming from the tops of the shoulders, opening across the pectoralis muscles in the chest. Well done. When you're ready, you can land through the pelvis. Let the feet just rest towards each other. Let the knees just flop out. Hands can come on the belly. We're going to rest here for a few breaths. So if you wish, it can feel really nice to lay a heavy blanket across the belly or the pelvis, or even sometimes, I've shown you this before, you can place a little bolster. It may feel a bit extreme, but it's actually like a little bit of weight just adding to the body, just saying, you know, you can rest here. There's a little support. I really recommend trying it. Sometimes you can use little sandbags, little mini sandbags, or even some of the eye pillows. That looks wonderful. And the hands, of course, can rest wherever feels good on your body. So again, you may wish to make some adjustments. Pop a blanket over the feet if they're chilly. You can have the arms, of course, elevated again if this feels nice across the chest, or resting hands on the chest and breathing into the hands. Feel it, really feel into the lung space. So there is no right or wrong with this. This is an experience that is unique to you, arising in consciousness for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we would not want to miss it. Never to be repeated. So in other words, the invitation is to give everything else up in favour of that rich experience as it arises. And so often we are elsewhere mentally, emotionally. Cogitating or going into memory. But what could be more rich than total presence? So if the hands are resting on the body, let's extend the arms up towards the sky. Take a nice breath into the back ribs. Exhale the arms wide, have the palms facing up, and just rest here. Make any adjustments again if the blanket is interfering with this extension, or any other props that are in your way. Chest open and relaxed. And of course, if you feel that the added weight is just adding more pressure than you need, if you are very open in the hips, feel free to remove that. You can even place some support under the legs. There's always options, and of course it's worth exploring both at different times. We can hold a lot of tension on the inner groin, so they may release slowly over time with a little patience and attention. If the legs are feeling uncomfortable, you're welcome to extend the legs and rest in Shavasana. Otherwise, we're going to leave the legs where they are, bring the arms up and over. We're going to cross the elbows in the air, bring the hands to wrap around the tops of the shoulders, chin to chest, elbows to chest, and breathe. And you may feel the middle of the heart center in the back of the body. It's a deep stretch, so we don't need to apply too much pressure here, just enough to really give yourself a gentle squeeze. Let's slowly release the grip of the fingers. Bring the arms back up towards the sky. We're going to change the cross of the arms. It's often your least favourite side, or your less chosen side for whatever reason, habit normally. And then the same thing, just breathing into the centre point of the body. You may gently close the eyes and the jaw can be soft. And when you're ready, let's exhale, release the arms. Let's release, if you used a prop across the pelvis, gently roll that over to the side. You can use your hands to help lift the legs. Just pausing there, let the legs just settle. So placing the feet hip width apart. Again, just breathing as the pelvis settles. So just allowing, again, that was quite a deep stretch for some on the inner thighs. A gentle little tip of the pelvis, replant the pelvis. Hands can rest down by your side. Wonderful. We're going to peel up the leg that's closest to us. Give that from the front shin if you can reach, or the back of the thigh, okay? Interlace the fingers, extend the leg that's furthest away. Bring that leg slightly out towards the side. Any movement, maybe a small movement, doesn't need to be big. Little circle of that hip. Head stays down. Well done. Swapping over the legs, peel up that leg, extend the leg that's closest to me, nice little squeeze in, releasing into the pelvis. And notice if that release can be sort of witnessed on the breath. Sometimes we get this almost like a little quiver, little shudder, some different pattern in the breath that really does, you know, we can miss it. We can often just move over this, but something is being released. Wonderful. Good job. Let's plant that foot. Peel up both legs. Take the feet a little wider. Let's turn the feet out slightly. Lift the pelvis, chin to chest. We're going to breathe into this extension through the tops of the thighs. Nice big inhalation, exhalation. Shoulders relaxed. Hands are resting. Soft fingers. And come down when you're ready. We're going to roll over onto our side. Come all the way over. And then come up nice and slowly. Let's keep a little zigzag of those legs. So we can rest on the lower leg. Take the support if you need an extra blanket under that thigh. Place the same hand as the lower leg. I've got crazy leggings on. It's probably like you can't see what's happening. So one way to think of it is stack the legs and then release that top leg. Plant the hand in line with the hip. Just pausing there. Okay, we're going to raise up the opposite arm. Good job, nice deep breath. And then up and over. Okay, we're bringing the belly around, drawing the belly in as we extend. Just for this first stretch, keep that arm elevated. And then rest that hand all the way down. Good job. Pausing there. Just soft attention to the hands and wrists. Okay, you can have a little soft bend in the fingers if you need to, if you're finding this a little tight in the finger joints. Okay, keep it light. You can even put some blocks under the hands if that helps. We're drawing the belly in and we're really interested in this sort of stretch through the anterior spine. So really get that sense of gathering up from the lower belly, and then the direction is upwards. So you can let the head remain central. Deep breath here. Shoulders relaxed. And it's in this surrender of the back of the body, this sense of holding everything up whilst releasing through the back. See if you can just tune into that sense of softening. Well done. We can come a little lower down. So walk the hands forward towards the top of the mat. I find it helps to land on one elbow and then come over to the other one. It's quite snake-like, so feel into that, see how that feels. If you want to lift that top leg to bring that back up so that your legs are stacked, if that feels better for you, you're very welcome. Equally, you can play with extending that top leg, okay? So you can find yourself in that sort of sense of stability down through the lower leg, bringing the leg a little further behind you. And just pausing, just resting with the body. Just checking in with the mind, what's moving through the mind. Is it relevant? Can it be dropped? Is it habitual? Is it useful? Well done. Soften that top leg if it's extended. Use your hands to walk yourself up nice and slowly. Be really mindful here, we're stretching into some of these bigger muscles. We're going to bring this top leg up and over. Okay, so I'm planting the foot there. So depending on tightness of the pelvis, you may want to bring that leg all the way forward, walk that foot a little closer in, and then we can sit with that knee upright towards the sky. Now don't worry if it doesn't come all the way up, you're welcome to just extend that leg. We're still getting a lovely stretch through that lower leg. Okay, so this is a version of Gomukhasana, cow pose. Nice deep breaths. It's quite a strong stretch into that glute. Happy knees, don't compromise the knees. So again, if you need to release tension through the lower leg, you're welcome to bring that a little bit more forward. Same with this foot, it may be a little bit more forward. You can open this out as much as you need. Well done. We're not staying there long, otherwise I'd offer you props. So we're going to unravel the spaghetti legs, come to the other side, same thing applies. So we can stack the legs to start, or you can extend, find that sort of comfortable position. You're now sat planted on the other glute, as it were. Extend through that lower leg. That's your hand, that will be extend that hand, and then open up across the chest. Beautiful. Start with a slow investigation, because of course as we come up and over, we're going to be bringing the whole of the side of that body. Remember to lengthen through the fingertips and just pause there. This gives us that chance to pick up around the tummy muscles, yeah, around the abdominals, and then we can bring that hand all the way down, pausing there. And again, this is slow enough to really pay attention to what's happening in the glutes. It's quite tight sometimes in the connective tissue there. Lifting up through the chest, shoulders releasing. So these larger muscle groups like the glutes and the quadriceps, you know, they're working, supporting. We can surrender all of that, just allowing these muscles to rest. Come down when you're ready. You can rest on the elbows, forearms and wrists. Remember the play of this top leg. You can curl everything in nice and small. You can extend that leg and then bring it a little further back behind you. So it doesn't need to be far, but again, it's like a rich sensation of really wringing out through the body. Nice deep breaths. You can keep it quite fluid if you find that, you know, this is quite intense. Keep it soft, keep a sense of sort of play about your practice. Well done. Let's bring that top leg onto the bottom leg. Come up nice and slowly. We're going to bring that leg again forward and around. You can wiggle the bottom leg a bit further across, planting the foot. And again, it may feel completely different on this side, so be prepared to make any adjustments if you need to. Sitting up as tall as you can. I appreciate that a block would probably be helpful if we were staying here for a little longer, but just for the sake of this transitional posture, let's just breathe, find that balance up through the pelvic floor, through the spine. Deep breaths. Well done. Gently release. The legs will want to release by themselves, I'm sure. We're going to take the feet nice and wide. So if you need to adjust the buttock flesh out and back so that you feel balance through the pelvis, flexing the feet, pointing the toes as many times as you need. We're going to simply take our hands behind us like little zombie style and just rest on the fingertips, so really lift up through the chest. We're going to mimic that same stretch through the soles of the feet. You can even let the eyes just look up and let the jaw release, okay? So there's a real sense of openness, and maybe all at once feels a little intense, so you may want to feel into that lift up through the spine as the thighs start to release, and then extend that stretch through the soles of the feet, and then cast the eyes up. Notice what's happening in the shoulders, and of course if you've got super long arms, you may want to flatten the hands, okay? So take the arms a little further back. There can even be a little bit of a resting backwards if that feels good in your body. Just notice where you're on the sitting bones. Keep relaxing through the thighs if possible, just bringing a little softness down through the legs. Wonderful. When you're ready, we're going to bring the left hand across in front of the body and then just facing towards that right leg. You can walk the hands there either side of that thigh. Keep a sense of aliveness through that left foot. Good job. Now you may want to fold towards that leg, and it may not be very far, and you know that's perfectly all right. You may want to use a belt around the foot. You can sometimes use a little prop like a belt, or you can simply just allow this leg to be the sort of focal point, softening down through the thigh, releasing through that thigh. So meditatively just turning your attention without allowing the other leg to go completely to sleep. Okay, so there's a sense of awareness, a sense of aliveness, and just surrendering to whatever movement is available, a sense of softening through the legs, chest open and relaxed. Nice deep breaths. Wonderful. We're going to transition slowly, bringing the back hand forward. Walk the fingers through the center, so it's sort of picking up this little tip of the pelvis. And remember, it doesn't need to be far. I spent many, many years almost barely moving a centimetre. So don't worry how far forward, how far to the side, just staying with that practice. You're noticing what's happening in the hips and the pelvis with the breath, of course. I'm going to take that little movement to the other side, okay? So taking that left hand to the outside edge and breathing. With every breath, a little softening, a little movement towards the earth. You know, the body may feel as though it's really never going to move, release, soften, but it does. It takes time. Well done. Bring both hands into the center, and again just softly extending through the arms. Even if you're quite upright, just softening through the spine. Wonderful. Release the fingers, take the hands under the back thighs. Oh, feel up those legs. Good job. We'll come over onto hands and knees. We're going to have a little release through the legs before coming down into child's pose. So if you find this too much through the fingers and the wrists, of course you can rest on the elbows, forearms, and have a little movement here through the pelvis. Otherwise you can rest on the hands. bringing a little movement into hips and pelvis. Really, we're getting into the inner groins. I'm going to encourage you to also extend each leg and bring a little bit of movement there. So you may want to bring heel to buttock, toes away, bringing that leg across the body. Whatever feels good to release any tension. You want to add tension to the body. Little movements that feel good to your body. So if you're on the hands and knees or with the elbows down, you can still maintain this. You need a little bit more tone in the belly. It's still a lovely stretch, okay? So there are ways to adapt. The same with the heel to the buttock. Wonderful. Settle when you're ready. We're going to take the knees wide. You may want to have your bolster between the thighs. If you've got a bolster or a blanket or a block or a bed pillow, whatever you've got to hand. And we're going to lengthen the whole of the spine to come down. So you're sort of mimicking this shape if you've got a bolster. It's sort of super useful as a visual aid to really get that sense of laying the breastbone and then the head and neck. Okay, so you're coming all the way down. Now again, you can hug into this. You can have this posture as soft as you like or as active as you like. If you want, you can extend the arms. You may want to start with one version and then gently transition into another. I'm going to talk a little bit about the buttocks and the heels now. So if the upper body feels good, but the buttocks are lifting up or the feet and ankles are really suffering, of course, you're welcome to place a little bit of padding. I find it quite useful, depending where that stiffness is, to have something under the tops of the feet. You can have a little rolled blanket. I should do a better job than that. I'll give a better demo. There we are. So that little, mimicking that natural arch of the feet. And see if that releases a little bit of the tension through the tops of the feet. And if there's a gap between the buttocks and the heels, you may gently want to use a cushion there or a block, folded blanket, so you've got a little bit more padding. Essentially something you can soften into. So as the body starts to release, with every exhalation a sense of softening and releasing, we can really tune into that surrendering, of holding on to the personality, to the role, to the duty, to the label, to the name, to the form. And once we've let everything go, we can just rest in that awareness, pure awareness. And gently turn the head to the other side. So take a nice deep breath in to prepare, Make any adjustments you need as you bring the head to the other side, resting on the temple. Slowly taking an extra deep breath in and coming up nice and slowly back to centre. You may like to come to sit back on the heels. If this isn't comfortable for you, come up on the shins. Bring the knees a little closer together if you're doing that. And just rest in the upright position, chest open and relaxed. Otherwise, resting back on the heels, palms facing up, jaw soft. And just retaining that sense of softness, of emptiness, of lightness. And take a deep breath in and release. Well done. We're going to interlace our fingers, just turning the palms away, nice and gentle. Remember, if that's too intense with the palms away, keep the palms facing towards you. Take a deep breath in as we lift up and release that breath all the way up. Take an extra deep breath in here and release wide. Good job. Well done. We're going to prepare ourselves for our mantra, meditation. So feel free to grab your socks, have a drink if you've got one, whatever you need. I'm going to move a bit closer for my quiet voice. And we'll settle in with the same level of care as any other posture, seated, balanced and upright position. So again, you may want to choose the position that suits your body. You can sit in Sukhasana, Siddhasana, whatever you need, with the feet comfortable as much as possible, so that the body is relaxed, spine is lifted. Good job. Nice deep breaths. So again, if you found it useful earlier having that blanket or the heavy bolster across the thighs, you may want to experiment with the same thing in your meditation. So this is a cotton blanket, traditional cotton blanket. Just adds a little bit of weight. I find it really useful in meditation for that very reason of just sort of grounding, that sense of a little bit of support. Particularly if I'm feeling a bit light, flighty, lots of movement in the mind. So any little tricks that we can find that really work for us, we can come back to. Sometimes it may take a while to pick things back up again. You think, oh yeah, that worked. So try it. It's the only way we can keep moving our practice on to suit us as we are. Check your temperature, because obviously again you don't want to be distracted by the body being cold. And of course, all of my preamble is your chance to Get super comfortable. Check that the body is balanced and upright, particularly through the spine. So this sense of lifting up through the heart space. We've done lots of openness across the chest, and this is intentional for our practice this time of year because we do tend to curl over the chest, and we can feel that in the body when we lay on the back and there is that tightness through the middle back. So keeping that lovely lightness up through the chest, through the heart center. So we're going to take a mudra to start, interlacing the fingers and just placing the palms across the heart. Just gently closing the eyes and tuning into that sense of touch, the warmth of the skin, the softness of the breath, just any sense that is dominant. It may be something you can hear, maybe a taste in the mouth, just allowing that body to settle on all levels and surrendering one by one this sense of just moving away from everything external that pulls us from our center. So we'll stick with this sense of the heart space, of this expansion of this lotus bud. You may like to visualize this in the heart space. Of gently opening as we turn our attention to it, as we soften the edges of the heart and start to dissolve some of the blocks, some of the habits, some of the holding. Allowing the edges to blur, to softness. You may wish to visualize a lotus flower and change the mudra slightly to the padme mudra, where we just simply bring the wrists, heels of the wrist together, little fingers touch, opening up like a lotus flower, resting at the heart. So you may like to join in. This is Om, Muni, Padme, Hum. 4 words, and we'll chant together and just drop into that heart space. You're welcome to join with the listening, and then we'll drop into our meditation and I'll mind the time. Om Muni Padme Hum. Om Muni Padme Hum. Om Muni Padme Hum. Om Muni Padme Hum. Deep breath in and release, allowing the hands to rest, eyes soft, jaw soft. Resting the awareness in the heart space. Taking a deep breath in. Slowly release. Gently bring the chin towards the chest. Take that breath through the nose. And then exhale, release. Let's do 2 more of those. Deep breath in. And release. Holding on to nothing. Deep breath in. And release. Allow the eyes to gently open. Take your time. We're going to move into our savasana. So if you wish to change anything about your ambience, you may want to dim the lights, grab an extra layer, and then get yourself super comfortable for your shavasana with a little support again under the back of the head. Have a blanket for your body as well. Maybe take a bolster for under your knees if you feel tight in the lower back. And then come all the way down to rest. And again, any little movements that are intuitive, responsive, arising in the moment. Otherwise, aligning the body so the feet can flop out from the midline, that little openness across the shoulders, palms facing up. Soften into the shoulder blades, let the whole of the body come to rest. Eyes closed, jaw soft. Here we can surrender the weight of the body. Surrender the movements in the mind, movements in the heart, and just rest in that deep peace of yourself. Light and relaxed, completely supported. Taking an extra deep breath in. And slowly bending up your knees as you exhale. Let the feet land softly. Let the pelvis land softly. Rolling over onto your side, whichever side suits your body. With that same sense of surrender to this moment, to this experience as it arises. And take a deep breath. And we'll slowly come up from the side when you're ready. Comfortable seated position, balanced and upright. Hands to the heart space. Take a deep breath in together. Exhale. Namaste. A little bit of self-love to get you on your way.